So good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Business Babble.
So I take you two fresh off a great weekend away, going to watch your favorite heavy metal band.
And we managed to get in here and do...
And you managed to get back all in one piece, which is great.
It was a character building day. To be honest, it's been 3 character building days.
That comes with age.
I know.
And alcohol.
I suppose that's the thing is, as you get older, you still think in your head that you are 10 years younger than you actually are.
Well, that's true.
And your body needs to catch up to that. So you think that you could party the night away, but it wipes you out for 2-3 days afterwards.
I think I find I was fine. Actually.
Michael, he's a veteran.
Michael the Machine.
Oh, he is. It's like the Terminator. I always used to get told this when I was younger. You know, when you're out with the Scottish mentality, or some of the Scottish mentality is with the drinking, get it down you. It's good for you. Later on, get it up you. It'll make you feel better. I've actively went out and poisoned myself. And the hope that I'm not going to be ill the next day.
It's such an interesting thing because you talk about cultural nuances like get it down you son, get it out you. In South Africa, one of the drinks is brandy. So brandy is a really big thing.
Right.
And if guys go out, what they take the bottle of brandy and they take the lid, and it's a screw-on lid, and then they hit it like this, and it screws all the way off, and it falls on the floor, and then they stamp it out. So now you can't put the lid back on, and they go, we're only going home when this bottle is finished. You know, and that's hardcore. That's hardcore stuff. So you can imagine.
There's a couple of wobblers, put it that way. No, not straight brandy. Oh no!
No. It's with Coke, of course. With
right,
Coke, and they know. But
you're not as hardcore as I thought. Then
no, so it's double. So guys drink double brandies and Coke, but that is we have something we call a police coffee, and it's just coffee with brandy in it. Next morning to recover. So
you're all alcoholics then?
Oh, absolutely.
It's the driving home afterwards, huh?
But that is something that's really, really interesting because South Africa is such a wide. You need to have a car. You don't have great public transport, so drinking and driving is an acceptable norm. So it is interesting. About 25 years ago, we had a corporate get together, and the guy was out here from Denmark, and he was talking to us about stuff, and we were having a barbecue, and he said to the guys, can I get a lift down with you? And the guy goes, yeah, sure, no problem. So anyway, everybody starts drinking, and the guy says, listen, it's about I think it's about 12. He goes, can we get a taxi to get home? He goes, what do you mean a taxi? We're going to drive home. And the guy goes, but you're drunk. He goes, not as drunk as I'm going to be in an hour when we drive home. Immediately, the sheer horror on his face, he phoned his wife to come pick him up. But that is sort of, it's become, it is like, it's a norm. And to break that norm is very, very difficult. But over the time, the younger generation that's come through, they will hire Ubers, they will be more responsible, and older people now start staying at home a lot more. And COVID's had a lot to do with that, changing that sort of behavior.
Agreed.
COVID's had a lot to deal with business. That may be a good segue onto our next part that I want to discuss today.
Well,
an episode.
I was thinking today, because I was at Entrepreneurial Scotland, we shout out to them. And we did an exercise in this boardroom that's been set up with the 6 thinking hats. So let's go through some of them. So this is basically like a brainstorming exercise for whatever scenarios you've got going on in the business. But it's just getting you to try and think in different ways to get the solution. So let's have a bash at that.
So what colour is a hat then? Tell us one of
There's 6 of them. So the black one we'll start with is a black hat, and that's the doomsday prophet. So that's spotting potential disasters, pitfalls, embracing a bit of scepticism. Good to have a balance that way, and preparing for worst case scenarios. So safety first.
So if I had to look at this from a business perspective, I would say that is your risk analysis. 2 types of risk. Risks you can control, risks you can't control. So risks you can't control are risks outside the business. So all of a sudden the political structure changes, or VAT is 20% on everything. What happens to your business then? And then internally, what are the risks? If you look at your business, where are the risks? Is it in people, lack of sales, that type of thing? And when you look at those risks, you go, okay, let's just say sales is the risk. Okay. And you go, what if I lose 50% of my clients or 70% of my clients? What happens then? So you always take the worst case scenario. and you say, okay, this is doomsday profit. What if I lose 70% of my clients? Do I go to insolvency? What would I need to do? And you work it back from there, but you always take the worst case scenario, saying this is, if the government puts VAT up 20%, I lose 70% of my clients. What happens then?
And that is, you're looking for solutions at that point when it's not even a problem yet.
Yeah, so what you're looking at, let's just say, so a real life example of a blackout situation is, I've got a client 5 years ago, there were 4 suppliers of this resin. And then all of a sudden we got wind that one of them is closing down. And that's a risk we can't control. We can't control our supply chain because of economic pressures. So over the course of the last 4 years, every single plant has dried up. They just don't make it anymore. So what do you do then? Do you close the business down? Do you find alternatives? Do you import? Do you offer to buy? What do you do? So it's about coming up with those solutions that if one is okay, 2, what do you do then? So it's about looking at really how black is the horizon and what do you do?
Well, another one that's relative to everybody in the United Kingdom was the NI going up. Yep. that crippled a lot of businesses, but then some businesses pivoted. So we're looking at the negative side of things. When you see disaster or pitfalls coming, again, you're finding a way out of it. But no, there's a lot of things you can't control, and there's some things that you can control. And the one thing that you can control is your thought processes and how you pivot your business and how you adapt and how you overcome. Mm. So it's crucial to have a team or people that you can offload to and come up with some really good creative ideas to get out of that.
So 90% of what happens to you, you've got no control over. But the 10% you have is how you respond. And that is where mindset comes in, because you either believe you can or you believe you can't. That becomes your reality.
Yeah. And I think with this one, this is where you're just trying to, so I don't know, there'll be a lot of businesses that don't even think about worst case scenarios. You know, they're just running in week to week, day to day, and not really looking at what if this happens. And then you've got at least some kind of plan already in place. So if it does, you know, you're already halfway there.
Well, it's like crisis management.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like if a man, somebody's off ill, somebody's off sick.
Yeah.
So putting all that information into their head, or they don't put it into a system. So you've got to be very, very careful. And, you know, there's not one person that just drives that business. That's even yourself. That's why you want to be trying to get the business to run itself without you in it.
So already in that, you have to have, fancy term is, I'm just going to say, call it a risk register or call it a list of risks. And the 2 things that you want to look at is how likely is this risk to happen? And what's the impact going to be on my business? Okay, and you score them from 1 to 5. So you're looking for high impact events. So if the business is completely reliant on you, you break both legs and you're in hospital, what will happen to that business? So do you have sufficient insurances? What can you then do? Then you start looking, okay, what do I do to get out of it?
Right. Yep. What other colours we got? Can we do the opposite? Can we do a Michael Jackson, black and white? Shut up.
We've got a white hat.
We've got a white hat.
It's got nothing to do with Michael Jackson. It's data detective, so that's unbiased and fact focused, seeking truths hidden in the numbers. So your graphs, stats. So there's no opinions allowed here. This is all facts.
So this is the bit that a lot of business owners do not like, because they're unaware of the numbers. They're unaware of how it all works. I mean, the simplifying it is the money you bring in, the money you pay out, you've got that left. That's breaking it down as simple as possible, but understanding your numbers and having something to go on. And it's all about the data that you're putting into it.
So you're right. So it goes, you're looking to spot common trends and patterns, but it needs to be information that makes sense to you. So I can sit here and I can say to you that I believe that data-driven decisions are always the right decisions to make. And you speak to your accountant, but your accountant doesn't see your sales. He sees what comes into your bank and what goes out of your bank. Okay, so very simple thing is, has your average price gone up or gone down? The number of clients, have they gone up? Have they gone down? Do you actually track it? Most people don't. Most people don't track it. Most people, you're right, most people get scared because they don't know what information to track. And there's so much information out there that you could easily suffer from analysis paralysis. But you need to have good information on marketing, good information on sales, and good information on operations.
Even things like when you're looking at your numbers, identifying how many customers keep coming back to you, just that not staff retention, but client retention as well.
Client lifetime value.
Whether it be in a retail shop, That's why the questionnaires go out, because you're trying to capture data, and data, we all know the data is such a massive part to play in 2025, 2024. It's just massive. People are buying data constantly.
Data is the new currency. It's not the biggest business is the one who does the most turnover. It's he who's got access to relevant data that can make decisions quicker. And that counterbalances that thing with the black hat. If you've got good data and you can identify the risks, the numbers will either reinforce the risk or tell you how you get out of that risk. So that's how the two of them link together. You need to understand what the number says in a worst case scenario so you can see how it pans out.
Right.
There's a company, they've got a really good sophisticated cash flow projection that they've been using for years, and it's really quite accurate. And they've went to 600 million turnover. And in the next 6 months, or the last 6 months, which was projected, it dropped down to 200 million turnover. So they've lost 400 million turnover. And that's come to fruition that's what's happening with them. So they've got a really tough next 6 months now.
Why?
We didn't get into all of that.
So,
really.
So that's always an interesting thing is things like that don't just happen.
No.
Okay. You know about it.
There is reasons.
There's reasons behind it. So very often a shift like that, I would say there was either a supply chain issue or a customer issue or something that they can't control.
Yeah. Something's big.
Something's big. So if you look at stock markets, you short the stock. Mm-hmm. So you drive the value of the company down. That's got cash flow implications because people start worrying. Sonos, great example of that. They lost in a quarter $259 million, all because they rolled out an update. They didn't speak to their customers. They didn't check it. There's a whole lot of reasons why. But in the end, they didn't have a rollback plan. So they lost.
The increase in national insurance and the tax is one of the big players in what's happened with them, but because they've got a lot of staff.
But also one of the other aspects of losing that potential, that turnover, with, yes, companies going down because of NI and whatnot, but also companies just shifting. And when you put all your eggs in one basket, I'm not saying they have done that, but 400 million is a lot. So spreading your risk, and always understanding, again, the numbers, but who your clients are, who's your best client, who are your best clients, and find more of them.
Data.
More of them.
Yeah.
And that's where the data comes in.
And I think it's easy to sit on the outside and, look and say you should have, you would have, should have, could have. Hindsight's a perfect science. But you always need to be looking 6 to 12 months ahead. And it's everything you do today will yield results in 6 to 12 months. There's no instant gratification in business. It just doesn't happen.
Exactly. Right then, we've got the red hat now.
Which one is the red hat?
This is the hat overhead. So this is intuition, the feelings reign supreme. So your gut reactions and emotions are leading the way here. So
this is the one I'm going to say. This is the one I struggle with because. Is
that because you're not emotional? You're emotionless.
Have you been talking to my wife, Johnny? No,
I've seen it when you were in there.
So my
sometimes. So this is the one I struggle with because I think very often, it's like you get a bad email in, okay, and then your emotion takes over, and you respond, and 9 out of 10 times that's the wrong response. So I think in this context is what does your gut say? Because sometimes your gut says to you, I've got a feeling. We got to do this. I've got a feeling we got to do this. It's just, is that feeling underpinned by data and patterns? And what does your worst case scenario say? So if you can just link it back.
I think like everybody has a gut feeling and a lot of people don't always go with their gut and then they regret it. That gut feeling is something that you've absorbed from being a child and everything that you've gone through. That's where your gut feeling comes from. We a lot of people talk about, just my gut's telling me this. Go with your gut. It's there for a reason. It's there for.
You think it's your subconscious? Do you think? What is your gut feeling?
What's that?
I agree with you.
What is your gut feeling though? What is it?
It's when you're going into. It's when you're going into a situation. Your mind and your eyes, your visual, your feelings. It's all linked, and you know what you're going into. So you can. You know when you're going to danger. Yeah. You know when you're going to danger and say, there's a gut feeling. I think someone's going to kick off you. Now, if somebody said, the 6 whys, why is that? because I can just see this and that, and I can feel a tension. It's an aura. You know, when you're around someone, they feel great and you feel happy. It could be a twinkle in their eye, it could be a smile, it could be a mannerism, it could be the way they're walking, it could be the music, you sense things. And that's where gut comes from, because it's taking all the visual aspects and then it's creating a picture, and you're feeling that. And you go, So it's a multitude of things over the course of your years that you've just absorbed.
It's like when I was in the dailies, and how we do things now still on the letting side, is when you do a viewing, you know, you could have a perfectly good viewing there, but there's just something saying, sorry, Vickers is collapsing.
I've noticed that Vickers likes to tap the table. He's twitchy, yeah. Maybe he's started back on the bevy again. I'm only kidding.
But yeah, so we would say no to a tenant just on gut feeling.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Is it presentation? Is it the way they speak?
I don't know. It could be anything really.
So it's an emotional it's an emotional response.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's amazing how many times that'll come to fruition though. When you get a gut feeling, when you meet someone, you go, "No, sure about him or her," and then there's obviously something there. Even like the dogs. When we've got the dogs in the office. It's been, I'd say maybe in the last 10 years, there's been 3 people have come in and upstairs, and they've not been happy with them at all. And they're
dogs.
They're opposite of that, you know. And you're instantly on guard with these people, because it's like, what are they sensing with their intuition or whatever's going on?
Okay.
Yeah. But it's a massive part to play.
I would say so. I think within this scenario, it's just if an opportunity comes up, do you go and go through all these hats and all the stats, and sometimes you just throw yourself in there with a bit of a gut reaction.
But you see these hats so far that we're going through, these are things, when you're breaking every thought process down, people will already have these experiences, but it's not until you're sitting and dissect them and go, that
you have to write it down.
I do that.
Yeah, but the characteristics, everybody, you'll be leaning towards one of these characteristics more than the rest. It's just, I think the exercise is really to try and have either other people around you that have got more in the way of other hats, that you can bring all this together and get an overall picture of what's going on and where to go forward with. So I'm yellow hat, which is coming up now.
Oh, here we go.
So this is a sunshine spreader. Bright ideas, positive vibes, highlighting the benefits and opportunities, and the glass always half full.
That's definitely you, mate.
Right.
Definitely, yeah.
So I think if I have to tie that back, is that that's the eternal optimist in all of us. This is, I'm going to start this business, I'm going to just fly. But what does the data say that underpins it? I think a positive attitude goes miles. It's how you wake up. You either believe you can, you believe you can't. That's your reality. But how does that, if you give me a business example of positive attitude, what is that?
I would say I'll go, if it's like when the back's against the wall, stuff's hit the fan, positive attitude is what will get you through that. It's a proper can-do attitude, finding solutions.
So glass half full type guy.
There'd be something.
It could always be worse.
Yeah, and as at the end of the day, like I say, what is the worst that can happen? Actually?
You could die.
And in which case, you're not going to care too much about it.
Yeah, so I think I live in the positive vibes, because there's a lot of things out there that you're firefighting on day-to-day basis. But you have your positive vibes with your customers, so you know you can turn the switch, you can look the part, you can act the part. But then really who you are as a person, who's the authentic person there, you want to be that positive go-getter, must-do person. And most entrepreneurs have that in them. I mean, the success leaves clues.
That's an interesting thing that you just said there. Success leaves clues. But it's always interesting when you meet people for the first time. And I don't know if it's a Scottish thing, but whenever I meet people for the first thing and I go, "How are you going?" They go, "Not bad." And then my first response is, "So you're not good either." Because what is it? But it is that sort of, I'm not great, I'm not bad, I'm just in between. Whereas whenever I ask Johnny, "How are you doing?" He's going, "Living the dream, best day ever." And that's the sort of thing. You might not necessarily be living the best way, but your brain is a muscle. You need to train it. You need to train it to see the positive and things. And I think even if situations are down, you always have to say, it could be worse. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you know the statistics. If you have 2 cars, you're in the 1% of the world's wealthiest population.
There you go then.
What about a motorbike?
Aye.
If you have 2 cars and a motorbike, you're like 0.5.
It doesn't work.
No. There's company cars. Count for that. Right, we're on to Green Hat now. This is another one, but I feel I'm involved in. Creative Wizard. So this is your wild ideas, innovative solutions, thinking outside the box and unleashing the imagination. So there's no ideas too crazy here.
Absolutely. You know the story. I've told you the story before about Virgin and how they conquered the route about prostitutes, and it turned out to be Indian head massages. That's where you need to put everything on the table. You need to question everything. You need to say, can we change it? And even if you can't, at least you've written down the ideas. I've got a client who's got great ideas. We call it the book of great ideas. We write all those ideas down in the book of great ideas, because sometimes anybody can sit under a tree and come up with an idea. But how realistic are they? Can you execute them? How? And in your business, it becomes really difficult if you're in the day-to-day to say, I need to change this, but where do I start? What do I need to change? And that is where creativity comes in. That's where it's surrounding yourselves with different people pushing you, asking you questions, driving you forward, because you might think you might be too close to the business to see the solutions.
Yep. Often, we were in the airport earlier, coming back from Italy, and there's robots now serving your dinners.
Is that right?
If you sat around and says, well, we'll get robots to serve.
I'm just gonna say to you, you're a little bit behind the times, because I came back from Belfast, and there were robots serving people in Belfast already. That was like a year and a half ago.
No, that's a vending machine, don't you call it?
No. So these are like, you're sitting in the restaurant, like it's an airport one.
So at a
this
table.
This robot goes into the kitchen and gets your dinner and brings it back out to your table.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Have you seen that? Yeah.
Aye, it reminds me of that Flight of the Navigator. You remember that?
No, but
yes, I do.
When he jumped in the wee thing, it delivered his food.
Yeah,
it's quite good.
Oh, okay.
If you were sitting at the table going, we'll get robots to deliver the food, it's like, that's a bit, especially when the staff are just running about at the back of them.
I know.
And sometimes it doesn't know what table is.
Come here.
It is definitely so.
It might be a gimmick.
There's probably a bit of that, but there's a thing I wouldn't have thought that would have been a business or an idea really to roll out when you've got staff there, but
I like the idea of having a big, massive vending machine. So if you have everybody's waiting in line and the person's just so slow, or they've got staff, you can still have one staff, but if you imagine having the arms, it's going to collect everything, and then there comes so it's got an arm, it collects all the food, it does whatever it's meant to be doing, and it comes with the card payments.
So
it makes it so more efficient.
Have you seen that? So talking about out of the box, great. Have you seen McDonald's, KFC, all of these fast food chains? They now have the menus that you go in, because previously, 18 months ago, you used to go up to the counter in McDonald's and order it.
Yeah.
In 18 months, all of that has changed. So that's how quickly it works. So now you choose, you can adapt your order, you can change things, you can do everything you want to do so quickly.
I don't like doing it.
Do you still go up to the counter?
I'll go, "How Mary? Looking for an order. Oh, just use the machine." "Oh, I don't use machines. I'd just rather talk to you. Can I have that with nothing on it? This and that, and I'll pay cash." Just as I hate using my card.
It's the pay cash part.
I just hate paying by card.
No.
I wish
totally
more people got like that.
Cash is still a legal tender. We'll go back to
and there's
buy.
Absolutely nothing. I still go to the cash machine and take money out.
But just think about this, okay? If an electromagnetic pulse had to hit the bank, and the bank didn't have redundancies, and they wiped out all the financial transactions, how would you know how much money you had in the bank? How would you prove that? Okay, because everything's electronic these days.
Exactly.
And you see, if you've done really, really well in your life, like really successful, does the bank not only guarantee about up to 85 grand
Yeah, that's
in your bank account?
Yeah.
When I find out, I'm like, well, I don't think I'll have that problem. That's for one. But that must be quite crap for people that have done extremely well for themselves.
That's why everything's all in assets. You just don't leave that money lying around.
You don't.
Put it in property.
Well, you need to put it in the right assets. It needs to be revenue generating assets, not.
So that's a podcast for another day.
Definitely.
Yeah. What's your other card, big man?
What's the last hat
one?
now?
I've got last one is a blue hat, and that's Captain Organised. So you're steering the thinking process with structure and clarity. So it's keeping everyone on track and focused. Order in the brainstorm.
I love that one, because what gets measured gets done. But it's measuring the right things, and making sure that you have got plan A, B, and C, because nothing ever goes according to plan. You can have the best laid plan, but you need to be able to adapt, think on your feet, and say, okay, this hasn't worked. How do we? I think, Johnny, you're probably the best position. A guy doesn't come up. You've got your whole week schedule going. Mm-hmm. This is how we're going to start. And then on Monday, 2 of the team members call in sick. And that's where this blue hat comes in. You have plan B. You can organize. You can change things around. So you can measure what happens because you've got a schedule. You've got planning. And that's one of the harder ones. That and data are the 2 hardest ones, because very often that blue one is we fly by the seat of our pants.
Yeah. Well, and most people are doing that.
Absolutely.
And they just get better over a period of time. But Captain Organised, I mean, simple for your own sanity is writing down the night before what you're going to do the next day. So you can have a diary entry on your phone. Just write it down, and then you get the great satisfaction when you scrub it out, score it out. And that's step by step. And I think you said this in previous episodes, Mike, you can book out time. You can book your time out, where it might be for a 5-minute cat nap. Because
it's a power nap.
A power nap when you need it, because you might be up really, really early. There's nothing wrong with that. If it best serves you and best serves the business, do it.
It's always interesting when you know where you see people's organizational skills when you look at their inbox. That's where you see how organized they are. Because organized people will have different folders, and this is how I do it. I've got different folders, and if something comes in and I have to deal with it, I'll leave it there until I've dealt with it, and I'll move it to the folder. Then I know I've dealt with it. So even if I'm sending something out waiting for a reply, it'll stay there until I've dealt with it. But my nieces, they don't work like that. Sorry, Ash. Sorry, Danny. They've got inboxes, and they've got like 6,991 unread emails. It drives me insane when they flip it. And you know what they do when we go out for dinner? They'll sit on either side of me, and they'll flip their phones around. And then I can't help but looking at so many messages. And it's not just on emails. It's on Instagram. It's on Facebook. Because it comes up with those little red letters. And I go, girls, can you please turn it around? They go, no. Because that sends my OCD into overdrive. I'm like, no, I can't deal with things like that.
See what I like on my wee book? I like ticking. I don't do one tick. I go tick, 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 tick. Because it's just a great feeling. Because I never used to get ticks at school.
But that's an interesting thing.
The teacher fancied me though, because she used to put kisses on all the time. The teacher fancies me.
Okay, I'm not so sure that is the right thing. But it doesn't matter what medium you use. Okay, but if you can write it down, or if you can type it out, because we live in an interesting age. If you can type it out, it becomes real. So the moment it goes out of your head, because it sits in your head, the moment you write it out or type it out, it's actually real. Then you can see it, and then you can do something about it.
A lot of your emails have a task bar. You can pull out and just put in your tasks. And
And within the new sort of developments in AI and emails, they're going to summarize for you. They can reply for you. You can do whatever they want for you. So I like the 6 different hats. I think as a business owner, there are some hats you'll naturally gravitate to, and you'll be really good at least 3 to 4 of those hats. But there's some hats that you won't be good at. So, I mean, when I sit here, I'm not really good at the emotional gut feel thing. I don't make emotional decisions just because I've learned that. But it is something that you need to take into consideration.
I think that's the point, is just get an overall.
That's it.
Get a balance of all of this here, and that'll at least should be driving you in the right direction with any decisions you might have.
Perfect.
So, not bad. But what it does mean, though, at the end of it all, is that
this is your world.
Shape it.
or someone else will.